I had a chance to visit St. James School with Wendy and some others from St. Thomas, and we had a wonderful visit there. And I have to tell you, I was really, really impressed. Not just with the facilities and all of the kind of small things that I saw that day, but really what I was really struck by was the love that I could feel in every classroom and every space. There were incredible teachers, they were doing amazing things, but what really bound it all together was the love in that place. So you're going to hear more about Christ's love and how it is so manifest at St. James School. We have Angie, we have Dave, we have others from St. James who are going to be sharing some stories and telling you how you can get more involved in the ministries there. So I'm going to turn it over to our friends from St. James.
I'm Angie McColl-Yoon. I'm the Vice President of Advancement, and I've been at St. James not quite since the beginning, but almost. I've been there 12 years, and we're celebrating our 15th anniversary this year. Could I just have a quick show of hands? Who's maybe a little newer to learning about St. James? People? Who knows a lot about St. James already? Okay. All right. Well, we'll try to mix it up so that even if you know a lot already, I'll try to make sure you learn something new. And I wanted to make sure that everybody hears about our founding story, our most critical programs, and of course opportunities for you all to get involved. Since Dave was just talking about that you can feel love everywhere, that's because love is literally in our mission statement. So this is our mission statement. St. James is a faith-based educational community, deeply rooted in transformative, loving relationships. So that is absolutely our goal. And maybe another theme for this, you'll notice that the word school is not in the mission statement. That's because we've really grown beyond just being a school, as you heard Dave talk about during the service. And we have an extremely bold and ambitious vision that we're working towards as an organization. Our vision is one day to have a world without inequities, so where we all have equal opportunity and options for success. Anybody familiar with Dr. Audrey Evans? Heard of her? There is a wonderful film about her life called Audrey's Children that's streaming on Peacock. Not to sound like I'm giving them a commercial, but it's excellent. So Dr. Audrey Evans is one of our co-founders. So really the founding story was that, the Lot Gate photo is really what happened. We're located on a beautiful campus of the historic Church of St. James West in a neighborhood of North Philadelphia called Allegheny West. But sadly it was sitting basically abandoned for a number of years, and there was this large question about what would happen to the property, how could it be better utilized. And of course church folks said, we should reopen the church, which obviously that's a great goal. But then another group of our founders got together and said, wait, how else can we be in service to the community? What does the community need? So the three people who were most important in our founding story, one is still involved, that's Dave Kasievich, our president and head of school. Dr. Audrey Evans, she was also the woman who had the idea for Ronald McDonald House. The whole vision behind Ronald McDonald House is when children have cancer, they need so much more than just medical treatment. You really have to think about what they need as being total care, total holistic care. She's like, we really need a nurturing home away from home for families as well. She saw, families bringing their kids in for treatment, sleeping in the hallways. So that was the vision behind Ronald McDonald House that opened in 1984. Now there's over 300 of them. Now it's really that same vision that underscores St. James. Not just academics, of course that's important. Our kids are learning great math and science and English, but a truly holistic education model in the same way Ronald McDonald House, as well as Reverend Sean Mullen, the former rector of St. Mark's Church in Center City. So when they started talking to the neighborhood about what do you need, you can guess what a top answer was. We need a neighborhood school where our kids are learning what they're supposed to, and frankly where we just feel safe sending our kids to school, where we don't have to worry about fights and bullying, all that nurturing, loving educational community. So we answered the call and we opened in 2011. We started quite small. Year one, we were like a one-room schoolhouse. So we opened with just one class of 5th grade in 2011. So then we grew up to grade 8, and then we grew down to grade 4. So we're currently grades 4 through 8, serving 94 students in our school program. But we also have many other programs beyond just the school program that you'll hear about. All right, so this is our little visual to show. So we're, of course, St. James School, but we also have an extremely robust graduate support program. So it's almost like a second school. After our kids graduate, we continue to work with them figure out the right high school, working with them through post-secondary. So now our oldest graduates are 24, 25, and now they're getting ready to give back to St. James. We just elected our first 2 graduates to serve on our board of directors. The welcome table is our community outreach program, which I'll tell you more about, and of course, the Church of St. James Bless. A few things that are unique about the school. One is that we're intentionally small. We just think that's how we do the education better. So we are capped at 20 students per class. That allows us to go much deeper and have a much more individualized approach to all of our students. We are, of course, faith-based. We're in Episcopal schools, so students are learning about Episcopal traditions, but they're also learning about other traditions as well. But all of our students participate in worship. We saw they fight over who gets to be accolade and reading in church. But it's very intentional and inclusive. So we have a chaplain who will be having conversations with our Muslim families about what's your comfort level look like and how can we bring in your faith tradition as well. So it's a very inclusive approach to religion. Another really important part of our program is how we extend the school day, the school week, and the school year. So a typical school day starts at 7:30 in the morning, and the students can stay for 2 after-school enrichment blocks, so they can be in school till 5 p.m. every day. And enrichment blocks could be cooking, could be lacrosse, could be photography, a diverse array of activities. We also have Saturday academic programs. It's also one of our top volunteer needs. I've heard a couple people ask about volunteer opportunities. It's volunteers who come in on Saturday academic programs. And over the summer, this is really cool. So our students are in school through the end of July, but July is cool. So over the summer, all students rising 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th participate in sleepaway camp. So you can see, I think this is Otter actually, who is an accolade today. This is him at North Bay Adventure Camp, which is one of our summer camp partners. It's in just about an hour and 20 minutes away in Maryland on the Chesapeake. Kids have the opportunity to do like cool outdoor education like this. Doing zip lines, doing a ropes course, learning about ecological conditions on the Chesapeake. And of course, it's just like fun to be sleeping away from home for the first time. And the other fun summer camp activities like talent shows and things. It is something the kids talk about year-round. And also, I think you've heard this, when we are admitting students, we are committing to find the scholarship funding for them. So we refer to ourselves as a tuition-free school, and our commitment is to serve students and families most in need, and they are being admitted with a full scholarship for their full time at St. James. All right, just a little bit about the church. As you heard, it started off shuttered. It is alive and well. So it is used for worship both for our school community and for the wider community. And that's actually the other thing we heard about, that a group of Christians are organizing a bit of a field trip for you all to come worship with us. We do a Sunday Mass at 5 p.m. and that's a mix of neighbors, students, people who've just heard of St. James, and it's followed by a community supper. The church and the chaplaincy department also is like really key in community outreach and just building time for community building and fellowship. So just you can see just a few of the fun events. They do jazz festival concert series. We make a big deal about St. James the Last Feast Day, and that turns into a fun day-long festival for the community. And a lot of intentional family activities as well, Family First Fridays. So the church provides pastoral care and of course religious education, both for our students, but also for the broader community. And it's a spiritual home for all St. James students and families. Sometimes our families say how nice it is. That's almost like one-stop shopping. I signed up to find a school for my kid, but also actually, I've actually been thinking I really would like to get my kid baptized. And wow, now I can do that through my kid's school. I can learn more about baptism. The welcome table is just an example of how our programming and our mission really expanded. So their little motto is a community of sharing so that all can have what they need. I think the marquee program is really food sharing program. So in other organizations, they might call that a food pantry, but it's very intentional and about being a great place to feel in community. So every single Saturday, we do a free, we just call it the farmer's market or the market. And we don't do any testing. If you can show up to the market, you're our neighbor and you are welcome to shop for free at the market. So that takes a lot of volunteer and fundraising support to make that happen. we're doing a mix of purchasing food and finding food donations to make sure that folks who need access to food have it. In addition to the food sharing, there's also a really robust adult learning program. So that looks like everything you can see a few photos of. This is in one of our classrooms, but it's adult learning, and I think that might be Zumba. So it's a mix of fun recreation activities like Zumba and yoga, computer, cooking, etc. So it's an example of how we really expanded. So when we're talking about who we're serving, it's really grades 4 to ages 65, 70 in the community. The other growing community action with the Welcome Table is, and a big need in our community, we have a lot of senior citizens who've been in their home for many years, but who often are just like living with a deficit in their house that they just think they don't know how to fix, like a hole in their ceiling or something else that's really affecting their quality of life in their home, but they don't have the resources to repair it themselves. So we started a home repair program, and again, that's matching skilled laborers that are volunteers that we just have access to, and maybe finding skilled laborers who we would fundraise to pay for, and doing those critical home repairs so folks can stay in their home. That's really growing. It's our newest community action. It started as 4 or 5 or 6, really, from folks we got to know at the market. And last year they did 21 home repairs, and they're on track, I think, to exceed that this year. You heard from one of our graduates already, London Marshall. She's one of our graduates. We have 177 graduates, and like I said, that's like the second school at St. James. So we really are making a lifelong commitment to our graduates through high school, post-secondary, and helping figure out careers. We've really continued to build that program as our graduates have gotten older. So it's very robust, and it's very just based on what students need. Oh, I'm in Latin and I'm really struggling. We're going to try to find you a Latin tutor, or access to mental health counseling, or helping kids figure out how to get their driver's license. It's really everything they need to be successful in their next phase. Maybe pause there. That's a quick overview of our main programs. Do folks have any questions so far? Sure.
When they leave your 8th grade, what high schools do they typically go to? Is it like local schools? Or?
That's a great question. It's really tailored to what's going to be the best match for the students. So most students are applying to 5 or 6 different options, and it's a mix. So London attends Wilmington Charter. So it's a mix of other independent schools, other faith-based schools. There's not a lot of other Episcopal schools nearby, so often that's a lot of Catholic schools. Cristo Rey is an independent Catholic school that's a great partner. And more and more students are choosing boarding school as well. So Church Farm School is an excellent partner, and more of our boys are attending there as well. Charter schools as well. So it's like a matchmaking between what's going to be the best fit for that student. Of course, some logistics play into it too, depending on what's the easiest way to be transported to that school. So that's one of the jobs of the graduate support team. There's a whole team that's working on figuring out the high school applications, communicating with students and their families, and helping them make the best decision. I want to say we have 25 plus high school partners. So it's really not a one size fits all. It's going to be what's going to be best for them. Great question. Next, I was just going to talk about what's happening next at St. James. So if you're on our mailing list, maybe you've heard our campus is growing. So this is kind of like a bird's eye view of the campus. So the little triangle on the right is our current St. James property, and we always had this wonderful neighbor, Royal Electric. It's a local business with a very large warehouse property. And we'd always sort of jokingly said to them, hey, if you ever are looking to sell your business, we'd love to be your first call. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what happened. And we're very grateful that the owners actually sold the property to us for quite a bit below market rate, because they really wanted to make sure the property stayed in good hands in the community. They didn't want it to see it go to become an Amazon or something else. They wanted it to see a place that's really giving back to the community. So now we have 40,000 square feet to dream about for how else our programming can expand. So the other thing that's happening is we just announced our new strategic plan, and the thing that is most exciting about it is, as you heard, we're starting at grade 4. But you can imagine over the years, folks have asked, oh, that's wonderful, grades 4 through 8, is there any plans to go down earlier? And the answer was always know, we're focusing on the middle grades. Those are so critical and important, but also where would we even house the younger grades and fundraising for it. However, I'm very proud to say that part of our strategic plan and how we think we can best expand our impact is to grow down to serve grades kindergarten through grade 3. So that's kind of our most exciting initiative of our strategic plan that we are working on right now. We also just got done doing a big campus planning project with our architects. So here are the most interesting and exciting projects I wanted to tell you about. So we have a plan to guide how our campus will develop and how we'll expand our programming over the next 10 plus years. But the things we want to focus on first, of course, like I said, where are we going to put these younger students? So I'll try to orient you a little bit. So this was our original schoolhouse. It's quite small. It was the old parish hall on the property. It was not really meant to be a schoolhouse, so we're really making it work as we grew and added grades. Next door is the old rectory, which is a residential community for our serving year program. This little triangle is our newest building that we built with our first campaign, and that houses the upper school. And this little bigger triangle back here is what we're proposing we build next. So this is a 3-story addition that will allow for the growth down to kindergarten, as well as the new learning commons, an art classroom, and a larger wellness center. The other thing that's exciting, as you heard, is what are we going to do with the Royal Electric space? So this is our plan for what we'd like to focus on for Royal Electric. One thing our community, our school community, and also our greater community needs, especially as we get larger, is our largest indoor space maybe fits like 100, 110 people. But you can imagine, as soon as we're doubling our student size, how are we going to gather as a full school community? And that's needed for everything from graduation to worship to band concerts, etc. So our vision is a community hub that would have a multi-purpose gathering space that we use for St. James School, but also for the welcome table, for the community, and truly multi-purpose. Concerts, gym class, athletics, and a neighborhood gathering space. So this is kind of just a bird's eye view of how we would break up this space. And in the future, there's also plans to eventually build building trades classrooms. So you saw we have our woodshop items available for sale outside. So we have a graduate woodshop. That program could really be expanded beyond just carpentry to focus on other building trades as well. So that's part of our long-term vision as well. Very exciting. All right, I'd love to tell more about how you all can get involved. At first, I just wanted to say, I wanted to echo Dave's thanks. We already considered St. Thomas a super wonderful partner. We're very grateful. Thank you for, volunteering, for providing us financial resources. We've received an annual grant from Outreach for the last several years in a row. And I know that there's more partnership ideas in the works. Wendy, I know, is getting a group of folks together who left the meeting with like 10 wonderful ideas about how else can we partner for St. James. So that is so beneficial for us to have such an engaged and enthusiastic church partner. So we're very, very grateful. So I guess one specific call out that we want everybody to be aware of is come on November 2nd to come join us for worshiping with us. And to sign up, I think you should just wait to hear more information or talk to them. I asked my team member who manages volunteer opportunities. This is not all of our volunteer opportunities, but she said these are two of the most pressing. Is anybody a good gardener in the room? Nobody? Okay. But we do need gardening volunteers. The other pressing volunteer opportunity is for our Saturday learning program. It's very choreographed already by the teachers, so you're going to be getting super clear instructions. The activities are clearly laid out, so we really just need like an engaged adult to sit with the students and lead them through the activity. So don't worry, it doesn't require specialized knowledge or anything. We also have flyers with the specific dates that are coming up for the Saturday play. Again, those are not the only volunteer opportunities, those are just two that my colleague asked that I mentioned. Any questions about volunteering?
Well, when did you speak to Golden Gold?
That's true. The other event I wanted to put on your radar is we are doing a big fall festival open house that is Saturday, October 25th. It's a mix of just like fun activities where, I'm sure we'll have fun fall food, trick-or-treating, etc., but also an opportunity to hear more about everything I've just given you a little taste about what's next for our campus development, what's going on with graduate support. So a mix of fun and learning and engagement opportunities. Okay, I'm going to do a quiz. So obviously, you know, we require fundraising to fund St. James. So I have any guesses of what percentage of our income do you think comes from the government? I'll call on you guys.
Zero.
Zero? That is correct. Okay, so the next thing, you probably already know this. We don't charge tuition, we do charge a family fee. What percentage of our income do you think comes from tuition/family fees? 20%, good guess. Any other guesses? I think a traditional independent school would probably be more like 75% of their income comes from tuition. For us, like I said, it's not nothing, but it's quite modest in terms of the overall scale of our revenue needed. So family fees contribute about 0.7% of our operating budget. We are very lucky. We started a legacy fund, or quasi-endowment, with our first big capital campaign. We are now taking a yield from that, so that's helping fund our annual operations. Guesses what percentage of our income might come from the yield from our legacy fund? Any guess? 10% is a great guess. I love that. It's actually lower, but it's growing 3%, and the idea is that will continue to grow as our legacy fund grows. So as you can see, obviously the bulk of our funding comes from charitable donations. So that actually makes up 90% of our revenue. So I just say that to make sure you understand how critical it has been to have St. Thomas Whitemarsh's financial support and, of course, individual support from those gathered today. All right, and I'm going to ask Soozung to talk a little bit more about the specific giving opportunity that she told you a little bit about in church, our tax credit program.
Did you have a question? Somebody had their hand raised. So if you are a participant in the tax credit scholarship program, you started out by just filling out this reservation form. It's one page, and it asks for 5 pieces of information, and you're only filling out half of it. The rest is for the office. We have a few people in here that participate in the tax credit program or have participated. I think we have John Day and Margie. Did you want to say why St. James and why tax credit?
Sure. Yeah, we've been doing this now for about 5 years. It started out because we were members of the church, and we learned kind of like one of these events. It was only up on the lawn. It was a little different. It wasn't as extravagant as you are today. It gave us an idea of what it was about, and we thought it was something that, I'm in education, so it kind of fit with what we do. And so we got very interested in how it worked, what the school was. And then we followed up by going down. We broke bread with the students, and that made us even more excited. So, once you see it, you can't help but want to be part of it. You can't help but want to contribute. Then the easy part really was the tax credit, because you pay your taxes, and you fill potholes in Pittsburgh and things like that. You don't have any control of that, right? Here's an opportunity where you have control of your tax dollars. That's the best part about the whole thing. You can do it, and it's relatively easy. There's a portion of it that's your own contribution, but you direct your tax dollars to the school. And it's simple. It's a little more complicated than that one sheet, but it really is very, very simple. It's a neat opportunity to do that. We also had the opportunity to go to the gala this past year. We got to see all the people that support. The support is tremendous. It really is just a fantastic opportunity. We can't say enough positive things about it. Dave and his crew were just phenomenal. I'm in education too, so we have actually set up a pipeline that any students that get through Gransley 8th grade, but when they want to go to college, we have a scholarship set up at Hartman College for them to have an opportunity to go on and get some support that way too. So big supporters. Do you have any questions about the tax credit or anything like that?
When I decided to participate, my biggest concern was that our tax dollars wouldn't be taken away from public schools, because I think public schools are a really important thing that need to be funded, and we don't want to be draining resources from public schools. So that was one first question she joined me. She said, no, this is completely separate pot of money that gets paid out to the fund. So that's, you're not going to be redirecting public school money to this effort.
We've been participating now 10 years. We have over 140 participants, and it's 43% of our budget. It's very important to us. It feels like a win-win. You're already paying taxes, we already have students, the students need money, redirect your taxes.
You're talking about state tax, right?
State taxes, yes. Everyone participates in a different way, and we get to know our donors. So some people, we talk to their accountant. Some do it just themselves. If it's easier for you, we can talk directly with your accountant. They make sure the forms are filled out. We really try to keep it seamless. We don't want this to be one more thing. And we are available to take phone calls and help you through that process. It's better, we've learned, to take the questions that you may have specifically about your situation after, but if you have a general question, I'm happy to answer that. Jim?
Correct me if I'm wrong, if I want to contribute to this, money that I would normally pay to the state of Pennsylvania, I just choose to pay to you instead, but it ends up costing me 10%. So
Right.
I'm making a 10% donation.
Yes.
So if it's $1,000, I give you 1,000 and I get 900 back.
We get 100% of the donation, you get 900, and your credit is 90%.
Correct.
Anyone else have any questions? I have joiners with me. The people who like to participate in the program are connected to St. James. They just want to do more, and they want to do everything that they possibly can. And like John Jay was saying, you step foot on the campus, you're hugged pretty fast. And Wendy's there, this week it was 3 times, twice. Wendy's there all the time. We have some volunteers who do come every day. We have some that come weekly or monthly. But if you come to the campus and you see what is happening there, you will not be able to resist coming back. Yes?
Is there a minimum amount for the tax?
There is a minimum. It's about $3,500 to participate in the tax credit program. The maximum is $100,000. And you can also do it with your business. If you know anybody that is selling their business, we should talk to them. Because there's a one-time liability that's usually wonderful, and it can be redirected to St. James. And it can be quite significant and really help us out. There's a question over here. Oh, yes.
Actually, Soozung, it's more of an observation. So, first thing I want to do is thank Wendy Bailey, a member of St. Thomas, who serves on the board of St. James. And we're grateful, Wendy, for your leadership. So if you have questions and you don't think of it today, you can always reach out to Wendy and say, hey, Wendy, what was that volunteer opportunity? Or tell me more about that tax program. The other thing I just wanted to share personally was my experience at the gala that was mentioned earlier. And at the gala, the brothers who own the Royal Electric Company were there. And I had an opportunity just to listen to them, and they were able to explain why they loved St. James School so much and why they wanted to make sure that that extra property went to the school. And keep in mind, these were, if Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they're Jewish, the brothers. And they were like, this school is just doing amazing things, and we see the impact not only on the young people, but our whole neighborhood and community. And so the brothers, and these were grown men that just broke down and wept during the gala. They were just, that's how much this school means to them and how much it meant for them to be able to sell the plot of land under market value to further the mission of the school. So it just really was touching for me to witness that.
Thank you very much.
Thank
for that.
you. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions or something to add? Jim?
Yeah. I just want to say that St. Thomas also supports St. James in kind. Just on Friday, we had Tiana Jones came out to visit with me at the barn. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're setting up some kind of a clothing closet. And
In the new building.
in the new building, right? So we were talking about how the barn might give clothing and, you know, other kinds of things like kitchen supplies or artwork or whatever we have that's been donated to us that we're selling to raise money for outreach. I mean, in a way, it's kind of neater just to give it in kind, right? Why should I receive a pair of pants, sell it for $4, and then give money to St. James when I could just give them the pants, right? So anyway, I talked to Tiana about doing that, and we're going to try to do that. I think you're opening in October, is that right?
We've heard different dates.
Okay, well,
but
whenever you open,
probably.
Dave went a little white there. Whenever you open, we're ready to give stuff
All right.
to you. And I told Tiana, particularly after our last sale in November, I mean, you can back up a truck
Yeah.
and load it up. So
I did come to your barn sale twice. I wanted to scope it out myself first, and then the next time I brought students. So London was one of the students. She loved shopping, and we loved being able to tell our story about St. James. And that was the Saturday when you could go home with a free chair. You had so many wooden chairs. So I did not go home with one, but it was funny. Everyone was pushing those wooden chairs. But I believe it. You do have a wonderful collection of donations that I'm sure will be helpful at St. James. Dave, our Dave.
Yeah, just two things. Number one, I shared this and Angie, you shared this when I wasn't here, just tell me, did you share about our network of schools?
I did not.
Okay, so how many of you are Episcopalian? Okay, right, good. So there's something, so am I, but there's something we need to be very proud about. And I shared this at the 8 o'clock service. It's good news and bad news. The good news is there are 6 schools like St. James across the country. So 6 different places across our country, Episcopalians said the church should have a voice in ensuring that kids have access to quality schools. So 6 places across the country. There's a group of Episcopalians in Pittsburgh that will launch a new school hopefully next fall, modeled after St. James. That's the good news. The bad news is, and I shared this at 8 o'clock, as Bishop Michael Curry, former presiding bishop, he came to us and said, this is great, there should be 100 schools like this across the country. So you can see where we are, and you are a part of that. So when you're out and about and people are asking, what's the Episcopal Church doing? We're opening schools, right? So many times we think about churches closing or dwindling or diminishing. This is a growth area of the Episcopal Church, and it's something we as Episcopalians should be very proud of. Number 2, the tax credit program. If you're retired, or if you, everyone knows someone that could participate. So even if you're not ready to sign up today, talk to Soozung about maybe you have a daughter, a son, a niece, a nephew, someone you can introduce this to. It is one of the number 1 ways you can help us today, by just thinking, who do you know that could participate, and stay in touch with Soozung.
And then I will invite them to come to campus, and I'll have them sit with me at my lunch table. So you can talk to Jason yourself and hear his stories. That's one of my favorite parts of the day, is to have a lunch with the students and that student engagement. I have to have the stories to tell you, because that's what makes the job compelling. The more I get to know the students, the harder I work. So this tax credit program is also in other schools that you're familiar with. So Penn Charter, the Haverford School, Malden School, they all do it. But it's meant for schools like St. James. But it's not going to waste, because we have students that are attending those schools, and they are receiving those tax credit dollars also for their scholarship. So all the information is on our website. When we met with a consultant, they said we had one of the best websites that describe tax credit. It also gives you an opportunity to act now. There's an eligibility form that you can fill out, and we're really proud that it was one of the best websites that they have seen. So it also has Q&A, and also the form that I was waving around is on there. It's a fillable form, and you just have to send it in to me. Anything else? We love that we could bring our St. James to you, and they have to say this every day at the end of the school day. I belong here, I can get smarter, I can do this. This work is important to my future. They recite this every day, and when they graduate, we shake their hands, give them their diploma, and look them in the eyes, and we say this to them. And they keep coming back. And I can see them out of the corner of my eye. They feel they belong here. Like, I'm thinking, there should be one of us out there supervising our students. But, you know, they're having a great time, and they feel that they belong here, and that's what's so critical in terms of what we do and what you are doing for us. We don't just feel like we're a guest, we feel like we belong here. And I hope that they're not eating all the refreshments. I literally can see them, and they're making TikTok videos, and like, I don't know, you know.
I think that's the end of our formal presentation, but we are available and we'd love to connect more with you. And if you didn't visit outside, there's a clipboard where you can share your information. We'd be happy to follow up with you and talk more about volunteer opportunities. Soozung would love to talk to you more about tax credit or any other way you might like to be involved. Like, you just want to come down for a visit, we happily arrange that for you as well.
I was at St. James the year that it was open and hadn't been back until this year. So saw a huge difference in the campus and 7 days a week and the impact that it makes on the community. But what I have to say is your kids are just amazing. They are, they seem, I'm sure it's not, but they seem like they're all extroverts, and they introduce themselves and they say hi, and we got to eat lunch with them, and nobody was downcast, like everybody was in part of the conversation. And all the kids that today participated as acolytes, they obviously are doing this. They said they do this as part of school, and I know that there's Eucharist at school, but the torchbearers knew exactly what to do. They, you know, all we had to do was say, you're going to walk out with this person, and they just were right at home, and they're just, you guys do such wonderful work, and it's a credit to St. James.
Thank you, especially to St. James School, for giving us this incredible information